So now let's go ahead and get into our NFL segment right now. I'm going to go ahead and bring on a special guest right now here on NFL Extra Points as we get ready to roll right into it right now. I'll talk about none other than a good friend here of the show. I've had on my podcast plenty of times right now, who's going to be joining right now. I'm talking about none other than PaulyC. You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at It's Me PaulyC. PaulyC, what's going on? Welcome to On Deck, man, and thanks for joining us right here. Get ready to talk some conference championship weekend. How you doing, my man?
Comment on these upcoming games for the NFL weekend ends. You know, we and I had talked earlier this year. I didn't think the NFL was going to be able to get in this season, but you were a staunch believer, so my tip of the cap to you on that. And I'm just glad that not only we're on the precipice of finishing out the NFL season, but also we're in luck for some good football games this coming weekend. So I'm excited.
Folks, take holiday. That's the first time, the only time, by the record, you'll probably ever hear PaulyC be humbled on the show and call me right on something. I'm just messing with you, man. Well, hey, glad to have you on real quick. Hey, real quick, before we go any further right now, since we're talking with the NFC real quickly, I know you probably heard yesterday with the Bears, before we move into the Packers Bucs, one of the biggest news, they announced Sean Desai, who's their new defense coordinator. They seem to promote from within right now to replace Chuck Pagano right now. Any quick thoughts on that? Because I got to be honest with you, I'm not sure if I'm like totally crazy about the move. It almost seems like this is something they might be okay being comfortable with and not making a progressive change to like fix things. What's your quick thoughts on that? What's it say for the Bears going forward?
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'm okay with it. And I don't know who they were going to be able to get in terms of any coordinator out there with a highly reputable skill set or reputation. Just because of the shakiness of what's going on with Nagy and Ryan Pace, and who's going to come in here when both the head coach and the general manager on the hot seat, right? So I think it was kind of forced. I mean, I know you and I had talked before offline. I was kind of hoping, because I am a dire Bears fan. Mike Singletary, I know that he had interviewed for the job. Not sure how much better the defense would have been with him, but I think it would definitely, it definitely would have made me feel good as a Bears fan in the sense. But I mean, I think it was the only move they could have made, honestly. And you know what? I guess I'm okay with it. I mean, he is a disciple of Vic Fangio, as I report. They call him Doc. So because of he has a doctorate from university. I forget what was his for what education, but I'm okay with it. We'll see. The fact that he learned under Big Fangio, he knows the defense well. I think it's the best possible move they probably could have made, seeing as how both the head coach and the general manager are on the hot seat.
No doubt, and getting right back to the NFC Championship game right now. Aside from Bears right now, the Packers, who have been having one heck of a year, sweeping the Bears this season, might I add too, right now. But unfortunately, but right now the Packers find themselves in a position right now where they haven't hosted a home championship game in over 13 years, and which, by the way, happened to be another quarterback, which wasn't named Aaron Rodgers. It was actually Brett Favre, who was the last one to do that back in the 2007 season, in 2008, losing a heartbreaker in overtime thanks to a gifted interception by Brett Favre, who always has been suspect to take care of the ball in his career despite his passing achievements. But you look at this year right now, you heard Aaron Rodgers always say he wanted to have this NFC Championship game at home. The way things were clicking. I always keep saying with the quarterback, with Jordan Love, who they took in the first round of the draft this year, this guy's been more demanding of himself lately. And right now, I think it's brought out the best. It's lit fire under Aaron Rodgers right now. right now. What's your current pulse going into this game right now? You look at the Bucs right now. They're trying to make history, be the first team to get to the Super Bowl with Tom Brady willing them there in Tampa. What is your early instincts going into this game for tomorrow, which will be the first game of this championship weekend?
Well, I mean, I think you kind of touched on it. Yeah, I mean, I can't see how there wouldn't be somewhat of a little bit of a fire underneath them. They have drafted, right now, as it seems, the heir apparent to Rodgers. I think Rodgers still's got a good few years left in him, so I don't think it's anything he has to worry about. I don't think he's going to be looking for a shadow, but I do think that he's definitely got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and it's his first time in his career. It seems that him and the head coach are on the same page, and I mean, he won a Super Bowl basically with a horrible relationship with McCarthy, and he's and I've said this to you before. I think on one of our previous meetings that Packers are a different animal this year. They just seem to be clicking on all cylinders, and they, not just the offense, but the defense. Defense is really good, and what I like about this particular matchup, you have two of the greatest quarterbacks probably in the last 10 years going at each other in a playoff game, in a meaningful game. Not that they haven't faced before, but one where there's a lot on the line, a conference championship. Before Brady moved over to the NFC, we'll probably never see this matchup. So, and if you just really quickly look over to the AFC, it's almost like a passing of torch in the ways. You have two young quarterbacks up and coming, leading their teams to the conference, final game, and you have two of the old guards battling it out to see who can probably get one more good run in. So it's exciting, and this is a different Packers team. I do think they're the favorite of this particular game, and I said this to you before. Aaron Rodgers has thrown more touchdown passes this year than the offense has punted. So he's got a look in his eye. He's just operating like a man on a mission now, and as good as the Bucs have been, I'm not sure it's going to be enough.
Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't necessarily say that. I wouldn't dismiss it. However, too, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, when you overall look at his career, too, I mean, when you look at everything he has been doing right now, I mean, just his quick release. I mean, the only biggest thing, too, right now, where I get a little concerned with right now, I really do believe the pressure is on Aaron Rodgers more so than it's on Brady, and for these reasons right here. I mean, you've never been able to host a game at home in front of Lambeau Field. You kind of got set up where you're at right now. I mean, it's still a guy that people want to still entertain with possibly being put in the GOAT argument right there. Yet, on the other hand, you got a guy like Tom Brady, who's been dealing with a lot less for much longer. He's had some help over the years, don't get me wrong, but been proven to be the ultimate winner right here. And when we take a look at it, I think one of the key things right now is the way they've been protecting Rodgers so far. I mean, this offensive line right now, for the first time in a long time, they have not given up any sacks so far. And, I mean, it was the last time you could really say that. It was probably like last year in the Seattle Seahawks game and then the opener against the Giants a few years. No, excuse me. I mean, the last time where he's ever started off a playoff game was 0 sacks. And you had to go all the way back when he was a fill-in against the Seattle Seahawks back in 2007 right there. So, which leads me to this real quick here. How much do you think this game is going to be won, more particularly at the live scrimmage, for this one to come out here?
Well, being a Bears fan, haven't seen Rodgers up close all these years. I can tell you just from firsthand account, man. The defense, Bucs are going to have their hands full. I mean, Rodgers just does not make mistakes. And you talk about his back. He hasn't been sacked. Yeah, and you're right. They have an all-pro center. They have a really good offensive line. But a part of that too is because of Rodgers. He first off, he doesn't, I don't think, get enough credit for his elusiveness with his feet. Not because, I mean, he doesn't have to. He's not really a running quarterback, but he can be elusive when he wants to. And he is the best quarterback in the league against the blitz. You cannot blitz him. Okay? And he just has he has a quick release. And he's just, in terms of QB intelligence, he's up there. And he's seen every defense. He knows what the defense is going to try to do, and he just, you can't really stop him. You can slow him down, but you can't beat him. That's why, and I've mentioned this to you before in conversations past, that I always felt that his kryptonite, the best defense schematically against him, was the cover two, the base cover two. Was essentially a two deep safety shell. With and it's a base 4-3 and a 4 defensive line. That's the only way you can disrupt them. You have to get to them. Your four down linemen getting after him, just collapsing the pocket, not allowing him to step up and create havoc. And then everyone drops back into zone coverage. That's the only way to slow him down. But if you don't, then he's just gonna throw underneath. He's just gonna dink and dunk. He'll find the open guy and just it'll be death by 1,000 cuts. He'll just throw underneath all day. So it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. Adamakan Sue, right? I believe is with the Bucs. So I think he'll be a key factor in this game. I'm gonna be looking to him to blow up the middle of the line. And, you cannot allow Rodgers to step up into the pocket.
No pun intended with being stepped up. Aaron Rodgers knows too well about that with Dominican Sue, speaking of which.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I tell you what, too, another interesting thing that's going to be interesting in this match right here. I mean, you saw two great coaches go at it last week right there who were real tight with Matt LaFleur and, of course, Sean McVay. I mean, Sean McVay, who I've been real fond of since coming into this league, how innovative he is. But then you look at what LaFleur has been doing in year number 2 right now, and just be able to look at past, like we mentioned earlier, getting over the fact you already got Jordan Love drafted right now. I mean, talk about a guy who hasn't had much help as far as enough offensive weapons around him with Aaron Rodgers. But then you look at the other side of it too with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now. Of course, Brady's got his guys with him right now. He's been able to recruit Rob Gronkowski, able to get Antonio Brown, which has been who's only played about a little over 60 snaps in 2 games. He's been the third most targeted wide receiver in here. How much do you think coaching is going to play a effect into this right now? Because you got a guy like Bruce Arians who's just in a similar boat like LaFleur right now. Last time he's been in this situation was 5 years ago, coming up short to the Panthers. Well, you got a guy like LaFleur a year ago loses to the 49ers in Santa Clara, San Francisco.
It's going to be huge. You're going to see the battle, battle of X's and O's, and halftime adjustments will be key. And I always believe that a telltale sign of how good a head coach is not in the first year of them being a head coach, but the second year.
Right.
You know as well as I do, especially in football, but more than probably any other sport with X's and O's and game film, the way they were able to prepare and stuff. The first year it's kind of you have the element of surprise. The teams are just figuring you out. They really don't know how to attack you. And I not to bring it back to the Bears, but I mean that's why I was always holding my breath in terms of Matt Nagy after that first year. It's okay, but now let's see what happens now that the NFL has had a chance to adjust, because they always do. It's everybody, they're going to adjust you. They're going to find out your tendencies, what you like to do, what plays certain schemes you like to run. So the fact that the floor has accelerated, he's gotten better in the second year. And then I think, if I heard correctly, him and Rodgers got together over the off season, talked it over. what they wanted to do and blah, blah, blah. And I think you're seeing the fruits of that labor. You're seeing the floor start to, that's why I keep going back to that stat that just blew me away with he threw more touchdown passes than they did punted. And I, off the top of my head, I don't know how many interceptions does Aaron Rodgers even have this year, right? Not even 10, right? So he's looked as good as he's ever have. And you said it, they really don't have that complementary receivers that they had in years past, like Jordy Nelson.
48 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, to be exact. Probably like the best touchdown interception ratio ever I've seen.
And he's doing it probably not taken away from any of the Packers receivers. They're really good. They really are. They got, but I mean, in terms of talent, probably, not as right now. They're just young guys, but probably not as talented as some of his better receivers that he's had previously. But he's getting it done with them, and that just shows you how important the quarterback position is. Those are the good and great quarterbacks, Rodgers, throw Breeze in there, Brady, they make people around them better. And for Rodgers, for the first time in his career, to be in sync with his head coach, I think that's just a huge factor. And kudos to Tom Brady, being able to get it done on another team and another separate conference at his age. It's just. Everyone keeps thinking, including myself, man, he's got to be handing it up to him. He's got to be walking away, but I don't know. He just keeps rolling.
Well, like I said, too, aside from this right now, I mean, their offense has been clicking, but, I mean, when you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now, they got a pretty good stagnant defense in themselves right now. And, I mean, overall, like takeaways, this season right now, they're ranked 5th. I'm gonna go ahead and call for the upset. I just have a feeling right now the time is now. Cold weather does not seem to be a factor. They right now for the most part I believe are 3-0 in those games, and I gotta tell you, right now they've been playing some patient football as far as like coverage wise on the defense, and their run game is starting to click right now too. So I feel like they got like a much better, more determined, aggressive attitude right now. Go ahead, you, and real quick, prediction for the AFC Championship game.
Sure.
Score prediction. Well, you got in the Super Bowl, basically.
Packers. I do think the Packers are going to win. I think it'll be closer. I think it'll be a pretty close game. I don't think it'll be a blowout. But the problem with that the people have had with the Packers this year is that they can't sustain. They can't. Haven't been able to slow Aaron Rodgers down for 4 quarters. It's like they hold them down, and then they just wear you out. And then all of a sudden, in that 3rd and 4th quarter, that's when all of a sudden you start to see the Packers take advantage of mistakes, and it's like trying to hold back with mud. And we're basically, for the Bucs to win, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers offense have to have their worst game of the season, basically, at the most critical time. And it pains me to say this as a Bears fan, but I don't know if that's going to be happening just yet. So I think the Packers are going to win. I'd say they'll win by at least 10 points. But as far as the Kansas City Chiefs and Bills, I got the Chiefs. I might have had a different opinion if Mahomes hadn't been cleared by concussion protocol, so he is going to play. Chiefs are just the same thing. I think they're like the equivalent to the Packers of the AFC. They're just another breed of animal. That offense is just so high powered, high scoring. And the problem with the Bills is their offense. It's not their defense. It's their offense. You're not going to shut out teams. You're not going to slow them down. What did they keep the Ravens still? 10 points up until I just don't see that happening. I think that the Bills' bigger problem is that it's just their offense. They just have not been able to generate a good amount of points against really good teams, and it's just going to be. I think it's going to be tough for them to match and go toe-to-toe with that Chiefs offense. I'm sure the Bills defense, they're going to show up, they're going to create havoc, but they're going to slow them down. They're not going to stop these. So I got Chiefs and Packers in the Super Bowl.
I'm going to go with Bucs, Bills for whatever reason. I feel like the Chiefs right now could be a little bit slowed down right now. They're not wowing, but don't get me wrong, they also got a good defense in their own right. PaulyC, always a pleasure having you on, keeping tabs with you, definitely knowing you on and off here, but just want to continue to wish you well. Once again, you can follow this gentleman right here on Twitter and Instagram at It's Me, PaulyC47. All enjoy the games and catch up with you soon. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Likewise, my man. You take care.
Take care.
All right, bye-bye. And once again, that was PaulyC right there, too. Now, a big significant injury, too, going into this game. Don't forget, Tom Pelissero did mention that Antonio Brown, he is ruled out for tomorrow's game, I believe with a knee injury going into this matchup. We heard about this yesterday. But right now, we'll see how much that's going to be affected. But remember, Antonio Brown, he's been the third most targeted receiver in this game. And this was confirmed by Bruce Arians. We're going to go ahead and hit a break real quick, a quick 2-minute break. And we're going to go into the AFC Championship game. You're watching Listen on Deck on CSR.